Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the weekly wave. Hope everyone's having a great Thursday. We're going to go ahead and get started. So the first slide we want to talk about is our accountability reporting application. Right now, your chronic absentee medical exemption window is open, and it will close at the end of the year, so 6/30/23. Open throughout the year. So one thing you really need to make sure that you have in place is you'll have a local committee that will meet to approve or deny absences that are based medically based. And you'll also need to have a site user who uses the CA medical exemption window process to submit requests and upload the committee's approved absences and documentation for each student. And then you'll need a district admin user. So what they do is they review the request and the supporting documentation for each student's medically exempted absence to approve or deny the request. Please note the district administrator, district admin user must be different than your site user. You have to have two different people in that capacity. So that is now open. Upcoming windows for accountability, your CVR graduation enrollment is to be open very soon, and it's for 2021. It will be open for 10 days. Please check your data now to ensure that it's correct, and you'll receive notification through our Gov delivery system. So always remember, if you have questions in regards to the accountability reporting application, you can email accountability@sde.ok.gov. Does anyone have any questions in regards to that? And what we're going to do is I would really like you to unmute your microphone if you have questions, and we'll take questions like as we cover each slide at the end of each slide sequence. So if that's good, we're going to go ahead, and if you don't have questions about accountability reporting, we're going to move to the next section, which is class size verification. It is still open, and we'll be closing on Monday the 1st. If you've got issues with the application, you need to contact Ryan Piper at ryan.piper@sde.ok.gov or Dean Hupp at dhupp@e2inttech.com. If you're experiencing issues with your data, you'll need to send an email to studentdatainfo@sde.ok.gov. Does anyone have any questions about this particular report if it's data related?
Do we know when the confirm button is going to be available?
I do not. That is an application question, and that would need to be directed to Ryan.
Okay, I sent them an email. I just haven't heard back yet.
Okay. Thank you for asking though. Oh, Mona says it is available.
Okay, I haven't looked today. I checked yesterday and it wasn't on mine.
Okay, great. Anybody else, any other questions about class size if it's data related?
Nancy, I'm curious. This is Eileen Vavrina. I'm curious. Is there a time, like a schedule for when the class size report updates? For example, when we have people updating data in School Insight, like approximately how long might it take for the data to change in the class size report?
Well, I believe, Eileen, once they update it in their SIS, it processes overnight.
Okay, so processes, the data does go directly to the wave. I know.
It does.
Okay.
And then it transfers from the
Overnight.
wave, and about 4 o'clock in the morning is when it actually updates the class size application.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anybody else questions about class size? All right, we're going to move on to October 1st consolidated. Okay, the report, it is open, but it was due on 10/21 of 22, so it was due Friday. We still have quite a few districts that have not certified, and if you're one of those, please definitely go in and make sure your data is correct. Don't certify data that is not correct. And if you're having issues, you need to send us an email to studentdata@sde.ok.gov. Remember that the capture date of that data is October 3rd. It's not the 1st because the 1st was on a weekend. If you've got find missing students still showing up, you need to make sure they're resolved, or they should be there, or if they shouldn't be there, they're resolved. Your child count was also included in this report, and it will be certified once your superintendent certifies the October 1st, but your ed plan or your special ed director is not the one that confirms or certifies this data. It is your superintendent. So keep in mind that the special ed tab on there, it comes from ed plans, so it should match your ed plan data. So just be sure that you're making sure your data is correct before you hit that certify button. And I know a lot of you aren't the ones doing that, but you might, relay that to your superintendent as well. Does anybody have any questions about October 1st? Okay, I'm going to move on. FQSR, it is open currently, and the actual close date is November 30th of 2022. That doesn't mean that's when your report is due. Your report is due no later than 10 calendar days after the end of your first 9 weeks or prior to your RAO visit. If you're having issues, you want to make sure you're keeping in contact with your RAO. You need to verify that your calendar is correct. You need to make sure you can account for professional days, parent-teacher conference days, check your membership and your transportation. That actually pulls from your student attendance summary. You want to make sure you're checking your find missing students. If you have questions about this report, you want to contact state.aid@sde.ok.gov. One thing I do want to mention too, and I know it gets frustrating when you're working this report and you get it to a point where it looks perfect and someone in your district makes a change to your data. I know there are some student information systems that have the ability to lock that data down so no changes can be made. I would check with your vendor to see if that is an ability that you have, and if so, I would recommend you put that in place so that you're not just chasing your tail around your data. So does anybody have any questions about FQSR, or Lori or Betsy, do you have anything else to add?
Yesterday, the day before, whatever. So I found out that there are some power school districts that are reporting perfect attendance for not certain grade levels, for some grade levels. Like the first district who called, it was all their district. The next one was just their pre-K students. And it ended up being something to do with their entry dates, is what I was told. So you really need to pay attention to that, because it's showing, it will match on your summary report and what you've sent to the wave. But if you go back in and look at your absences, or whatever y'all call it, you will see that those kids have absences, but it's not pulling over. So just pay attention if you're power school to that. And then while I'm on this subject, there's a new column on the final report that shows what your attendance percentage is. And I've sent several, we have a little over 200 of you guys certified. I've sent a lot of emails about 100% attendance, or if you are reporting under 90% on any grade levels, we're going to ask you to verify that and take a look into it. If you want, if you have some grade level that does have poor attendance, could you please just make a note out there? Or if you have 100% attendance, make a note out there, but make a really good note why you have 100% attendance. If you have, 34 kids, I can't think. That's pretty much all I'm seeing. So
Okay, Lori, thank you for that input. Also, I want to thank Amanda and Kristen too. They did mention that you can lock down your data in WinGauge. You can do it in Infinite Campus. I do know you can do it in PowerSchool. Eileen, can you do it in TeacherEase? If you're still there.
Yeah, I'm still here, Nancy. Sorry, I was finding my unmute button there. Are you talking about which data are you talking about? Calendar data specifically?
Well, attendance data.
Okay, there is not a way to lock that down in School Insight, but I will add an option or I will forward a request to our product manager for that functionality. It sounds like it's pretty important. So basically calendar and attendance data, like you want to lock down from a particular time frame.
Well, normally districts lock down the first, like at the end of their first quarter, they lock that data down. So
Got it.
people can't go back in and change the data weeks later.
Got it. Yep,
Okay.
I'll check into that for us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions about FQSR?
I have a question for Lori.
Okay.
Back when we did the ASR and the alt ed student view was new on that part, and we had to go in, we had to request edit ability, and we had to go in and fix the entry exit dates of all of our alt ed kids as to when they became alt ed and they left alt ed. Do we have to do that for first quarter, or do we wait for ASR and do it for the entire year?
You'll wait for the ASR. We put it out there on the FQSR just so you can see what you're reporting. So if we have any problems, we might start working on them now. I know that that's still a touchy subject with that alternative ed. But if the district is marking them at any time, it's going to show up, or it's not going to show up if it's not. I mean, back and forth. They're looking into, I know the data office is looking into other ways to capture that, and that she might need a few people to be her helpers. But right now, the FQSR is just out there for you to know what you are reporting. And so if you see something, like if you see a kid that's missing, you might want to go out there and get them at least marked. So you can they'll at least show up, and then you can at least at the end of the year, you can change the date if it needs to be changed.
Okay, but we don't have to worry so much. I know we have to be cognizant of the data. I get that part. But as far as any urgency of the actual number or the dates, we don't have to worry about that for FQSR.
Right, right.
Okay. One less thing to deal with. Thank you.
Right. Right.
Thank you for asking your question. Also, I want to thank Margaret Brown. She also mentioned that PowerSchool has the lockdown. It's a custom plugin that can be found on the Oklahoma PowerSchool users group. And that's a thanks to Tara. So thank you both for providing that information out there. Anybody else have any questions about FQSR?
Nancy, can I make just a comment real quick? I
Yes.
had issues with the transportation part on my report. And I am new this year, but what I found out is that we had put an entry date on all of our students of 8/1, which was actually before we started school. So when it was pulling transportation, it wasn't pulling transportation correctly. And we're having to go in and change the entry date to the day they first were actually in class. I don't know. It sounded like that in the past, we've always been able to do it as 8/1, but now it has to be the actual first day of class.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. So what you've all been waiting for, that's a joke, really, is PBT training. Okay. It is available now. And this is what this little diagram or little icon up here is what you will see when you click the link below. That's where the training is at. If you don't have an account for SDE Canvas, you'll need to create that account when you use the link. Your email will have to be validated, and you'll have to set up login credentials and be enrolled in the PBT course. So I know everybody's excited about that. The training is broken into modules, and it's very nicely done. There's in-depth training on understanding PBT and the various scenarios to learn how to evaluate if a student qualifies. There are modules for the DVR process located towards the end. There's a PDF documentation in the last module, and you'll be able to start and stop and return at any time. When you return to the link, access Canvas from your menu to locate the enrolled training. Let's see, also you can start, you're going to be starting to receive those spreadsheets this week or next. And June's putting together some sample file and best practices from a district perspective, and that'll be going out on Monday. Also, there will be training for PBT and accountability CVR, and that's the calculation verification request for the school report card on Monday, November 7th at 1 p.m. You can request access in the chat, and it's at the Student Accounting Consortium. So if you want to join that training, please let us know in the chat that you would like to do that. And I'm sure you have questions about PBT. I personally have not taken the training yet, but I intend to do so tomorrow. So if you have questions, please let me know right now. And I see a lot of you are signing up for the consortium, so that's great. Okay. I'm going to go on to the next slide then, if there's no questions. Again, requesting state assistance. I just want to reiterate, because we continue to get emails with student name and personal information in them. We don't need that kind of information from you to locate a student. We can locate it with their STN or your local ID only. That's all we need. But we need you to provide your name, phone number on the request. And this goes for any emails that you send to studentdatainfo@sde.ok.gov, our team group chats, or any of our personal email boxes. Okay, let me go on to the next slide. It's new WAVE accounts. Superintendents must provide the WAVE access for single sign-on. So if you need a new WAVE account, your superintendent has to put that, I can't even think of the word, application on your single sign-on. Then you're going to have to email OMES at servicedesk@omes.ok.gov to request an affiliate's login. And then I would add to your request that Matthew Johnston be assigned to your ticket. They're usually saying it's taken at least 72 hours before your access will show up. So it's very important, if you're one that's working in the way, that you request that access early. And now, if you're having issues, you have access, but you're having issues logging in, you want to go to your single sign-on page. You want to click open the WAVE. You want to enter your log or your user ID, which is your affiliate's login. It's going to take you to the Microsoft page. You're going to enter the same information in there. If you don't know your password, you're going to click forgot my password. The system will email you a temporary password, and you'll have to change it at that time. If that does not work, you'll still need to reach out to OMES or service desk at omes.ok.gov. Okay, that is the end of the presentation. And always remember, if you have questions about your data or reports, you need to email those to studentdatainfo@sde.ok.gov. And there's always good resources on the State Department's website under Student Information, Document, and Guides. I see a lot of people requesting the training for the consortium, which is awesome. We will get you set up for that. And June has asked that you put your email in there if you're going to request that training. Let me see if I missed anything else while I was talking. Tara, I don't know if you've already put your email in there, but go ahead and do that, please. And we'll get you added. I think that is it. All I have today. If you've got questions, please unmute your mic and ask away. There's no questions. I guess we can go ahead and I'm going to stop our recording.